In this video, we're diving into the 10 fatal mistakes that sailors over 60 often make when sailing around the world, and how you can avoid them. As the years go by, certain risks on the water become even more critical, and what might have been manageable in younger years can quickly escalate into life-threatening situations. These mistakes may seem subtle at first, but they can have catastrophic consequences if overlooked. Whether you're a seasoned sailor or just starting your journey, these mistakes are crucial to understand. From neglecting essential safety gear to overestimating your physical abilities, we'll highlight the actions that can make the difference between a safe voyage and a tragic one. Some of these common oversights have led to countless accidents, while others are simply forgotten with time. Imagine having the confidence of knowing exactly what to watch out for and how to navigate safely through any situation. In this video, we'll walk you through each of the 10 fatal mistakes, breaking down why they're so dangerous and what you can do to avoid them. We'll also share some essential strategies to help you continue your adventures on the water well into your golden years. So prepare yourself for valuable insights and expert advice that could save your life out there. Stick with us until the end and let us know which of these mistakes you've already learned the hard way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you're always ready for the next chapter in your sailing journey. Let's get started. Error 10. Inadequate supply of food and water. The inadequate supply of food and water may seem like a simple problem, but for sailors over 60, this failure can quickly become a fatal risk. Age significantly increases vulnerability to dehydration, as kidney efficiency decreases by 20% to 25% after the age of 60. Additionally, nutritional deficits become more critical, especially on long crossings where replenishment of essential vitamins and minerals may be limited. On a 30-day crossing, a senior sailor may need a daily caloric intake between 2,000 and 2,500 calories, adjusted for pre-existing medical conditions. Someone with diabetes, for example, will need to prioritize low glycemic index foods, while someone with hypertension should avoid sodium-rich products. The impact of neglecting this need can be severe. A real-life example is that of a 66-year-old sailor who underestimated his water consumption during a Pacific crossing. After 2 weeks at sea, his supply had dwindled to just 1 liter per day, leaving him debilitated and without the strength to reduce the sail when a storm approached. This situation illustrates how an initial mistake in provisioning supplies can have a cascading effect, compromising the ability to make decisions and perform essential maneuvers for the safety of the vessel. To avoid this mistake, planning must be precise and conservative. The United States Coast Guard recommends a minimum of 3.8 liters of water per person per day, but a safety margin of 25% should be considered, raising the requirement to approximately 120 liters per person on a month-long trip. Proper storage also makes a difference. 5-liter jugs with screw caps should be kept in low areas of the vessel to ensure a stable center of gravity. Additionally, it is essential to periodically check the validity of stored water, as sealed water can last up to 5 years without contamination. Food should be planned intelligently, prioritizing non-perishable items and high nutritional value. Meals ready to eat, MREs, offer about 1,200 calories per unit and are a good option for emergencies. Dehydrated fruits, such as mango and banana, along with vacuum-packed nuts, provide energy and essential nutrients without taking up much space. This error ranks 10th because its effects are gradual, becoming critical only over time. However, when the sailor realizes the situation, it may be too late. The lack of energy and disorientation caused by malnutrition and dehydration can prevent the execution of basic navigation tasks, leaving the sailor vulnerable to much greater challenges. Error 9. Poor navigation skills or excessive dependence on technology. Navigating relying exclusively on technology can be a serious mistake, especially for sailors over 60. Familiarity with modern equipment like GPS and chart plotters can create a false sense of security, but a single electrical failure or device malfunction can turn a smooth journey into a dangerous situation. Age can also contribute to reduced ability to react to unexpected emergencies. There are documented cases illustrating the risks of this dependency. A 65-year-old sailor, for example, drifted near Fiji after his GPS plotter failed. Without a sextant or paper nautical charts on board, he was unable to determine his position and was carried 200 miles off course before being rescued. This type of situation could have been avoided with more robust planning and proper redundancies. The reliability of onboard technology can be compromised by various factors. 12V batteries, common in sailboats, lose about 10% of their capacity each year of use, and if not regularly tested, they may fail at a critical moment. Additionally, electronic systems are vulnerable to lightning strikes. The probability of a boat being struck by lightning is approximately 1 in 1,000 per year, and a direct strike can burn out all onboard electrical circuits. To avoid this mistake, the sailor must master both traditional and modern navigation. Learning celestial navigation may seem outdated, but a properly used Davis Mark 15 sextant can provide a position with an error margin of only 1 to 2 nautical miles, enough to navigate safely to a nearby port. Additionally, keeping updated and waterproof protected paper nautical charts is essential to ensure critical information is always accessible. It is also crucial to have technological redundancies. A backup portable GPS, such as the Garmin eTrex, is an investment of around $150 that can make a difference in an emergency. To keep devices charged, a small 10W solar panel with a 5V output can ensure sufficient power to recharge portable batteries. Regular practice is essential to maintain sharp skills. The navigator should get accustomed to manual navigation exercises, using techniques like dead reckoning, position estimation, based on speed and distance traveled. This can be done monthly to ensure that, in case of electronic device failure, the sailor can still navigate with reasonable accuracy. This error ranks ninth because it can be mitigated with planning and redundancies. However, if neglected, it can turn a manageable problem into a serious risk, leaving the sailor completely lost at sea without reliable references to return to safety. Error 8. Neglecting boat maintenance. Boat maintenance can be a challenge for experienced sailors, but as age advances, certain tasks become even more difficult. Accessing the bilge to check the engine, climbing the mast to inspect sails, or even tightening screws in tight spaces can be exhausting for someone over 60. This difficulty leads some to postpone or ignore essential checks, significantly increasing risks during a crossing. The impact of neglecting maintenance can be catastrophic. An emblematic case occurred with a 68-year-old sailor who sank 800 miles off the coast of Madagascar. His boat suffered a structural failure when the keel bolts, 3 4-inch stainless steel pieces, corroded over the years without him noticing. Without adequate resistance, the keel detached at sea, compromising the boat's stability and sealing his fate. The risk is not limited to major structural failures. Small problems can quickly escalate into major emergencies. A 5 HP outboard motor with clogged fuel lines can leave you without propulsion in a dangerous bar. A crack in the hull, just 1/8 of an inch wide, can expand and allow water ingress during rough seas. Sail seams, if not regularly checked, can deteriorate due to UV exposure, reducing their strength by half after just 5 years. To avoid this mistake, it is crucial to maintain a detailed maintenance log. Each system of the boat requires periodic checks, including engine change oil, SAE 31 liter, and filter every 100 hours of operation. Electrical system: inspect 12V wires, preferring cables of at least 10 AWG to prevent overheating. Sacrificial anodes. Replace every 1 or 2 years to prevent corrosion of submerged metal parts. Sails, check seams and material, 6 Oz Dacron oilers, a reliable standard for cruising. Bilge pump. Test regularly and keep a spare on board. Whenever possible, it is prudent to hire professionals for the most demanding maintenance tasks. Spending $200 on a mast inspection may seem expensive, but it prevents problems that could result in a $20,000 loss or even the loss of the boat. Having spare parts on board is also essential. Among the recommended items are replacement impeller, Jabsco, about $30, extra 10A to 30A fuses, stainless steel bolts and clamps, spare belts for the engine. Neglecting maintenance ranks 8th on this list because, with discipline and planning, problems can be avoided. However, if ignored, this error can lead to mechanical or structural failures at the worst possible moment. And at sea, there's minimal room for error. Error 7. Choosing a boat that's too large or complex. The fascination with large and sophisticated sailboats is understandable, but for a sailor over 60, a boat that's too large or full of complex systems can become a considerable risk. Physical strength and reflexes diminish with age, making some maneuvers more difficult and demanding. Additionally, advanced electronic and hydraulic systems may seem convenient, but when they fail, they become a nightmare for those without the technical skills to repair them at sea. An emblematic case involved a 70-year-old sailor who lost control of his 52-foot boat in the Tasman Sea. The sailboat, equipped with a 150-square-foot mainsail, required considerable strength to reduce quickly in adverse conditions. During a 40-knot storm, he couldn't reef the sail in time, leading to a severe heel that resulted in the boat capsizing. Choosing an appropriate boat involves several factors. For more experienced solo sailors, vessels between 32 and 38 feet, about 9 to 11 meters, are ideal. This size range maintains stability and comfort without compromising solo management capability. Moreover, smaller boats consume less fuel, have fewer components that can fail, and are easier to dock in tight marinas or anchorages. Another essential factor is the choice of sail system. Many veteran sailors opt for mast-mounted mainsail furlers for convenience, but this system has a significant risk of jamming at the worst possible moment. Slab reefing, manual reefing with shackles, is more reliable, as it allows quick reduction of sail area without depending on internal mechanisms that can seize up. Electrical and hydraulic systems also need to be simplified. A sailboat with complex wiring, multiple 200-amp circuits, and 50 psi hydraulic systems can become a maintenance nightmare at sea. Opting for 12V LED lighting instead of a sophisticated AC system reduces electrical demand and the possibility of failures. The choice of boat can be decisive for survival. A positive example was a 67-year-old sailor who faced a storm with 50-knot gusts in a 36-foot cutter. Having a smaller boat with well-distributed sails allowed him to handle the situation without major problems. The simple design and appropriate size made all the difference. This era ranks 7th because it is highly situational. Many can manage large boats if they have crew and proper planning. However, for those sailing alone or wishing to minimize risks, choosing a smaller and simpler boat may be the best decision to avoid critical problems at sea. Error 6. Not having or not knowing how to use safety equipment. Safety at sea depends on preparation, and the lack of adequate equipment or ignorance of how to use it can transform a manageable incident into a tragedy. For sailors over 60, this failure is even more dangerous. Reaction time naturally slows down, physical endurance is lower, and emergency situations require quick and effective responses. One of the most alarming examples occurred with a 67-year-old sailor who shipwrecked near Bermuda. He had a life raft, but had never reviewed the equipment. At the critical moment when trying to inflate it, he discovered that the CO2 cylinder was empty. With no viable alternative, he was forced to improvise a raft with floating parts of the boat itself. His experience and luck kept him alive until rescue, but the equipment failure nearly cost him his life. To avoid this mistake, certain equipment is indispensable and must always be in good condition. Category 1 EPIRB, 406 MHz, 5W power, an emergency transmitter that sends a distress signal via satellite. Models like the ACR GlobalFix V4 are highly recommended. It should be tested periodically and registered correctly to ensure a quick rescue. Life raft for the number of crew members, ideally a model approved by ISO 9650-1 standards, designed to withstand severe conditions. The Revere Coastal Elite is a reliable example. This life raft should be serviced every 3 years to ensure it remains operational. Robust first aid kit, a maritime medical kit, should include supplies to treat deep cuts, burns, and fractures. Additionally, items like an automatic external defibrillator, Philips HeartStart, can be essential for sailors with a history of heart problems. Pyrotechnics and signal flares, smoke signals, rockets, and strobe lights increase visibility for rescues. Possessing the equipment is not enough. Knowing how to use it is as important as having it on board. A common mistake is acquiring an EPIRB, but never testing it or even reading the manual. The same applies to life rafts. In an emergency, there is no time to learn how to activate them correctly. Therefore, annual training is recommended. Simulate an evacuation. Practice launching the life raft and boarding it in calm waters. Activate an EPIRB in test mode to ensure it is functioning and understand the real activation process. On sea, train in basic first aid. A pre-hospital care course can make a difference at sea. Best practice for storing safety equipment is to keep it accessible. A life raft should not be trapped at the bottom of a hold under loads of supplies. It should be secured on deck or in a quick-release mount. Similarly, an EPIRB should be mounted in an easily accessible location, such as a locker near the cockpit, fixed with 104-inch stainless steel bolts to prevent displacement. This arrow ranks 6th because, although it is not an immediate danger in all crossings, it becomes fatal if an incident occurs. When an emergency arises, there is no time for improvisation. Adequate safety equipment and training to use it can make the difference between a successful rescue and a tragedy. Error 5. Sailing alone without telling anyone. Sailing alone can be a liberating experience. The sense of autonomy, the vastness of the ocean, and the absence of commitments make this journey attractive for many experienced sailors. However, this freedom comes with immense risk when no one on land knows where you're going or when you're expected to return. For those over 60, this can be fatal. There are tragic cases that illustrate this danger alarmingly. A 69-year-old sailor departed on a solo crossing in the Southern Ocean without leaving information about his route or check-in schedule. He had experience but neglected safety. 6 months later, his boat was found beached on a shore with no sign of the captain. The investigation concluded that without a communication plan, no one noticed his disappearance, and there was no active search in time. His final fate remains a mystery. This error by itself doesn't cause a shipwreck or immediate accident, but it amplifies all other risks. Without frequent contact, any problem can become a death sentence. To avoid this kind of tragedy, it's essential to prepare a detailed navigation plan before departure, containing information about the planned route, estimated arrival times, available means of contact, and safety equipment on board. Additionally, maintaining frequent communication is essential, utilizing at least 2 distinct means, such as satellite tracking devices, VHF radios, and satellite phones. Periodic check-ins must be established, ensuring that if anything goes wrong, someone can initiate a search quickly. Using devices like PLBs, AIS, mob transmitters, and personal trackers also increases the chances of rescue. Sailing alone is not an error, but departing without informing anyone is a dangerous imprudence. Modern technology allows staying in contact even on the most remote crossings. Having a clear plan and regular communication can be the difference between a minor setback and an irreversible tragedy. Error 4. Neglecting health and medication use. Neglecting health and improper use of medications are mistakes that can transform a peaceful crossing into a true nightmare. For sailors over 60, maintaining control over chronic conditions like hypertension, diabetes, and heart problems is not just a matter of comfort, but of survival. Forgetting an essential dose or suffering a medical emergency without adequate resources can be fatal. There are records of a 71-year-old sailor who collapsed in the middle of the Atlantic after excessive exertion. It was later discovered that he had forgotten to take his heart failure medication for days. With no one nearby to assist him, his body couldn't endure. This type of risk can be avoided with careful planning and strict health control before departure. Regular medical consultations are indispensable, and tests like physical stress tests can identify limitations before they become serious issues at sea. Additionally, it is essential to carry a sufficient amount of medication for the entire trip with a safety margin of at least 30 days. Medications should be stored in airtight containers and protected from moisture and excessive heat, as adverse conditions can compromise their effectiveness. A watch with a programmed alarm to remind medication times can be a simple but valuable ally. Another indispensable precaution is to have emergency medical equipment on board. A portable defibrillator can make a difference in a cardiac crisis, and a well-equipped first aid kit should include not only basic items, but also antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, potent analgesics, and supplies to treat serious injuries. A VHF radio with an emergency channel and a satellite phone are fundamental for requesting help if necessary. The sea does not forgive negligence. Health should be treated with the same seriousness as boat maintenance or weather forecasting. Taking care of your body and ensuring everything is under control before setting sail is not an exaggeration, but a basic requirement for any sailor who wishes to complete their journey safely. Error 3. Excessive physical effort. Excessive physical effort is a dangerous trap, especially for sailors over 60. Over time, loss of muscle mass and reduced cardiovascular capacity make previously simple activities exhausting, and in some situations, fatal. There are reports of a 68-year-old sailor who, while attempting to reconfigure the headsail amid 30-knot winds in the Caribbean, suffered a collapse. His heart simply couldn't handle the extreme effort. The problem is that, at sea, there is no immediate assistance. Every maneuver must be planned according to physical endurance and individual limits. Ignoring these factors can lead to fainting, falls, and even serious medical emergencies. To avoid this risk, it is essential to adapt to the limitations of one's own body. Equipment that reduces workload, such as electric winches and effort reduction systems, can be fundamental investments for an older sailor. A pulley system can reduce the force needed to hoist sails, and a quality autopilot can minimize the need for constant rudder adjustments. Additionally, regular rest breaks during tasks are indispensable. When heart rate rises too much or fatigue begins to set in, it is necessary to stop, catch your breath, and proceed with caution. An experienced sailor knows that consistent pacing and energy conservation are key to safety and longevity aboard. It is also important to maintain an exercise program on land to strengthen muscles and improve endurance. Daily stretching and moderate strength training help maintain flexibility and reduce the risk of injury during demanding maneuvers. Sailing requires physical preparation and intelligence. Knowing your own limits and using available resources to compensate for them is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. On the ocean, where every decision can be the difference between success and disaster, protecting your body should be as high a priority as protecting the vessel. Error 2. Ignoring weather forecasts or not preparing for bad weather. Ignoring weather forecasts or not adequately preparing for adverse weather conditions is a mistake that can be fatal, especially for sailors over 60. The sea is unpredictable, and what seemed like a calm day can quickly turn into a nightmare. With advancing age, physical endurance and the ability to cope with extreme conditions decrease, making meteorological preparation even more crucial. There are cases of experienced sailors who did not pay due attention to storm warnings and ended up paying the price. A 70-year-old sailor, for example, ignored a forecast of strong winds and ended up shipwrecked in a giant wave when his boat capsized in the middle of a squall off New Zealand. This error not only puts the captain's life at risk but also that of everyone on board. The solution is simple. It is necessary to invest time and resources to constantly monitor weather conditions and be prepared for any sudden changes in the weather. Tools like the Iridium Go for receiving GRIB files which show real-time weather forecasts are essential for maintaining constant communication with wind, temperature, and other important factors predictions. When it comes to strong winds and storms, the physical preparation of the boat is also fundamental. Reducing sail area and reinforcing cables and sails can prevent the boat from becoming uncontrollable. Another important aspect is proper training to handle extreme situations like heaving to, a technique that allows the boat to remain in a fixed point with minimal control, which can be the difference between safety and disaster. Staying informed about weather conditions, having a contingency plan, and acting proactively can save lives. The sea does not forgive negligence, and not preparing for adverse weather is a mistake that should never be made. Error 1. Not wearing a life jacket or safety harness. The most fatal mistake a sailor can make is not wearing a life jacket or safety harness, especially after the age of 60. With advancing age, loss of balance, and diminished vestibular function make the chance of falling overboard much higher. In a scenario like this, a simple stumble or unexpected wave can be the difference between life and death. A 64-year-old sailor, for example, was tragically dragged into the icy waters of Chile during a 35-knot storm. Without a life jacket, he had no chance. This error is avoidable and completely absurd, considering the resources we have today. Modern life jackets, like the Mustang MIT-100, offer not only buoyancy, but also comfort and mobility, essential for those spending long periods at sea. They should be worn at all times, especially in strong wind or rough sea conditions. Additionally, a safety harness anchored to a lifeline is equally important. It prevents the sailor from being thrown overboard and offers a safe way to move around the deck, even in the most challenging conditions. In the event of falling overboard, time is a crucial factor. Wearing a safety harness can prevent the person from drifting away from the boat and getting lost in the vastness of the ocean, while the life jacket ensures they remain afloat until rescued. Recovery practice cannot be neglected either. It is necessary to train the rescue process, such as using the life sling, which can allow a sailor to get back on board in seconds. Ignoring the use of safety equipment is a mistake that costs lives, and for older sailors, this risk multiplies. At sea, where accidents can occur suddenly and often without warning, prevention should never be a choice but an obligation. The life jacket and safety harness are the most important and accessible items to ensure that, regardless of the situation, the sailor has a chance to survive. So folks, those are the 10 fatal mistakes sailors over 60 can make when sailing around the world. Sailing doesn't have to be risky, especially when you have the right knowledge. If you want to avoid these traps and sail safely, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for more tips and inspiring sailing stories. And of course, share this video with your fellow sailors. Let's make sailing safer and more fun together. See you in the next video.